World Headquarters in New York. This is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with the breaking news in the war in Iran. Tonight, U.S. embassies and consulates are coming under attack and Americans stranded across the region. Late today, a drone strike reported near the U.S. consulate in Dubai. The drone coming down in a parking lot, fire breaking out. Just hours earlier, 2 drones hitting the U.S. embassy in Saudi Arabia. At least 6 embassies in the region now closed tonight. And this evening, 24 hours after the State Department urged all Americans to leave the Middle East, Secretary of State Marco Rubio late today saying they're now preparing military flights, charter flights, even coming up with land routes for Americans to try to get to other countries to try to get out. And tonight, with Iran essentially shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, where so much of the world's oil passes through, President Trump is now saying he will call on the U.S. Navy to escort ships through if necessary. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell leading us off from the region again tonight.
Tonight, U.S. embassies and consulates under attack from Iran, with U.S. citizens trapped in the war-torn region. The State Department now scrambling to secure military charter flights to get them out after telling Americans in 14 countries to evacuate. Tonight, video verified by ABC News shows an Iranian drone slamming into the U.S. consulate in Dubai. The explosion and fire in a parking lot next to the consulate. The U.S. Embassy in Amman, Jordan, also targeted. And drone strikes shutting down the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Officials say so far no one's been injured in the strikes. And tonight, with Americans stranded across the Middle East, our Karen Travers asking President Trump was there not a plan for this before attacking Iran?
Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most.
Late today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the plan to get Americans out.
And it'll be a variety of methods: charter flights, military flights and transports, expanded commercial opportunities, and in some cases land routes that will allow them to go to neighboring countries who might have open airports at that point.
Tonight, the president saying he was, quote, surprised by the scope of Iran's retaliation across the region, even though Iran had clearly warned how it would respond.
I was surprised, I think, and now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them.
Tonight, Iran effectively shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil flows, sending oil and gas prices up already. Tonight, President Trump saying, if necessary, the U.S. Navy will provide escorts for ships in the Strait of Hormuz. As U.S. and Israel launching another wave of strikes on Iran. More than 700 Iranians killed, according to the Red Crescent. Today, there was a mass burial for the victims of the school attack, which left more than 160 dead. The Pentagon yet to explain what happened. And Israel saying it struck an area in Qom where Iran's Interim Leadership Council was meeting to appoint a new supreme leader. Tonight, verified videos online showing the area where those meetings were allegedly being held, reduced to rubble, as Iran denying they were meeting there. Trump asked who'll lead Iran next.
Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group, they may be dead also, based on reports.
The president was asked what the worst case would be for Iran's next leader.
The worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen.
Tonight, the Pentagon identifying 4 of the 6 service members killed after that Iranian strike in Kuwait on a U.S. tactical operations center. U.S. officials tell ABC News that facility did not have adequate defenses, making them vulnerable to aerial attacks. And after 3 U.S. F-15 fighter jets were shot down over Kuwait by friendly fire, one of them seen spiraling to the ground. Remarkable video, verified by ABC News circulating online, shows the tense moments as locals confront one of the downed American pilots, approaching one with a pipe, his parachute still attached. That pilot putting his hands up and kneeling before the men realized he was an American.
You're safe, you're safe.
And this video showing Kuwaitis finding another one of those pilots.
Thank you for helping us.
After she's safely ejected too. David, amid this scramble to get Americans out, the State Department telling people to call a hotline. But when you dial the number, an automated message saying, do not rely on the US government for evacuation at this time. David?
Wow, there is an intense scramble tonight across the Middle East to try to get these Americans out, Ian. Thank you.